Alright, let's begin inside the box with Corpse Princess. A rather strange show. I guess the recurring theme is in this anime is just the idea of is a living corpse that's alive, necrophilia or something like that. They weren't calling it that directly, but the basic idea was that they were saying you shouldn't love them because they're not alive, even though they're just a different kind of alive, really. But anyways, the real basic idea is girls brought back from the dead who have to fight monsters, and of course, they have partners that supply them with energy. The only real problem with it was a pretty okay. And this is from the point of view of somebody who watches a lot of stuff, so anything about it that would have been profound and astonishing is probably something I've seen 100 times over, so I wouldn't notice it. But I do know that it seemed like good action, pretty good story. The major problem is that it just didn't really end right, where it kind of stopped right as the real final battle would have begun, I guess. At least that's how I would describe it. But otherwise, Corpse Princess. Next up is Kimba the White Lion. I believe this is from the 60s. Not as easy to predict because unlike other obviously older anime, this one was actually it's not in black and white. You may know about this anime from its from the controversy around the Lion King. How supposedly Disney was originally going to do a remake of Kimba the White Lion, and then instead they made Simba and stuff. It's a neat anime. Which one was the inside? I think that was it. I guess the basic premise is that Kimba's dad was hunted by hunters. I don't know how the legality of their hunting status, but basically, Kimba ended up spending some time in the human world and then bringing ideas of the human world back to the animal kingdom while becoming their leader. So you get interesting things such as the animals trying farming and finding solutions for the carnivores so that they don't feel the need to eat meat, I guess. It's intriguing. So the criticisms of The Lion King being a Kimba remake, there's probably some ideas they may have taken from Kimba the White Lion that would be nostalgic to somebody who watched it, but at the same time, the very premise of everything that happens are different between the two. Anyways, only one other thing I was asked to show, and that's not a small request, and that's all of Dragon Ball. And I don't mean Dragon Ball, the original Dragon Ball, but rather these discs don't look like they're too noteworthy to show, so we can probably just show these season bricks as is, I think. So, the story of the original Dragon Ball is there are 7 mystical balls that grant any wish to somebody who manages to collect all 7. Goku is a boy who lives on his own out in the wilderness and is ridiculously strong. He encounters Bulma, who is searching for the Dragon Balls to make a wish. Thus starts Goku's adventures, generally going between finding the Dragon Balls and participating in martial arts tournaments. At least that's the story of the original Dragon Ball in a kind of a nutshell. It's an interesting series. Unlike Dragon Ball Z, it doesn't go quite so crazy. But at the same time, it kind of goes into the stuff from Dragon Ball Z really well, so I'm guessing they were originally supposed to be the same thing. Then we've got Dragon Ball Curse of the Blood Rubies, which is the first movie. This basically restarts the Dragon Ball storytelling from, Goku meeting Bulma, and instead of the stuff that happened in the series, the movies do something different, if I'm remembering right. They introduced characters and different bad guys. These are the three movies, movies 2 and 3, which complete all of that, and then movie 4 restarts it yet again. This one tries to tell an overall main story involving Goku and the Red Ribbon Army, and this one's actually really neat to watch. I was quite impressed by it. I think I'm not sure which dub these are. Funimation did another dub, then yeah, I don't know. Dragon Ball Z pretty much starts off where Dragon Ball left off, with Goku pretty much officially becoming the strongest fighter on Earth, and when his brother comes from outer space, everybody learns that Goku is actually an alien, and the universe becomes aware of Dragon Balls, and a bunch of crazy stuff happens because of that, and things get even more crazier as people try and get stronger and stronger, especially stronger than the Saiyan race, who has become very prominent by this point. This is the Dragon Ball Z Orange Brick release. I believe this is mostly focused on the English dub version, although it does have Japanese with subtitles. One thing it does that is noteworthy to, note, is they're all widescreen. And what they basically did is, full screen is normally the same shape as this video, but since widescreen is 16:9, they basically cut a bit of the top and the bottom off like that. They may have done it not in that exact way I showed it. They may have been a little more careful, scenes here and there, to make sure they weren't cutting off anything important. But for the most part, these were released that way. I didn't notice. It sounded like most American audiences didn't notice, and they actually enjoyed it that way, from what I've heard. Of course, if you want the original video and the Japanese, everything from the Japanese, the original Japanese version perspective, including the episode opening and endings, because Dragon Ball Z is something that's been endlessly edited, then that's where the Dragon boxes come in. There are the original 4x3, they default to the Japanese dub. As you can see, the insides aren't too spectacular, unless I want to go and look in this booklet in the middle here, but there's a picture on the booklet, so we can at least look at that. This, unlike the orange box, this isn't, or the orange bricks, this isn't quite completely released. I think they've got one more set to go. But to be honest, whenever I want to listen to Chala Hichala, this is the one I fire up. Did I forget the thing in the middle here? I think I did. Not that it matters too much. That's not a particularly flattering picture of Frieza, in my opinion. That's a good picture of Cell, though. The funny thing about Dragon Ball Z is that it's just been released so many times. And I think we can be expecting more. Right now, the only Dragon Ball Z that's released on Blu-ray is DBZ Kai stuff and some of the movies, but it looks like later this year they're planning on releasing Blu-ray Blu-ray versions of Dragon Ball Z. Which means, once again, I'm going to collect it. As you can see, I've been lining these up so that y'all can see the picture these DVDs form. We've got Goku here, and then Gohan forming in the corner here. Although, because of the reflection of the camera, I don't know if it's easier to see that way. The Trunks and Bardock specials are here in this tin box release, which matches with all of the steel releases of the movies. Movies 1 and 2, 3 and 4, 5 and 6. The numbering probably goes crazier here. We got Super Android 13, BoJack Unbound, the 3 Brawly movies, Brawly the Legendary Super Saiyan, Brawly Second Coming, and Bio Brawly. And then we've got Fusion Reborn and Wrath of the Dragon. So there may be Blu-ray versions of all of these out. I don't know yet, because that's probably the next thing I'm going to focus on catching up on, since I bet another Dragon Ball Z Kai DVD's coming out later this month, and of course Blu-ray's going to come out with it. And by this month I mean September. I guess technically I'll be posting this on August 31st. Now, if you don't know what Dragon Ball Z Kai is, this one's pretty simple to explain. Take Dragon Ball Z, start removing cruft. Maybe they did some stuff to try and make the video look better, I don't know. All I know is the story progresses a lot more smoothly. The very first stuff at the very beginning is absolutely spectacular. Yeah, I think it's easier to feel overall why the Frieza saga was just absurd. With all of the everything on Namek and power levels just going up, like crazy. And of course, seeing the Frieza battle so much closer to the Vegeta battle, I just realized the Vegeta battle just, well, they felt similar, except it felt like there was maybe more budget in the Vegeta battle or something. I don't know. And this, of course, is the latest DBZ Kai release, which begins covering the Android stuff. And then, last but not least, we've got Dragon Ball GT, which pretty much comes after Z, although I think it was not done by the original mangaka. So you could almost think of this as a fan sequel of sorts, officially sanctioned. Let me see. The story of GT is after the final events in Dragon Ball Z, Goku accidentally gets shrunk back into a little boy by something called the Galactic Dragon Balls or something. And he has to travel the galaxy looking for them. And this time he travels with a different group of people. It's a strange premise that seems to be trying to set up a similar adventure to stuff that happened in Dragon Ball. But honestly, it also might just be crazy compared to Dragon Ball, even Dragon Ball Z. I haven't really watched it yet. I only ever downloaded 8 episodes way back when, so that's something I need to explore. But anyways, that finishes up all the Dragon Ball stuff I have. You may have noticed there's no Blu-rays, because the time to catch up to those is probably coming up close.